शुक्रिया मनोहर हमारे संग जुड़ने के लिए। Meanwhile, protests are being held across the world to show solidarity to victims of the Pahalgam terror attack in India. Protests are being held in Chicago, Copenhagen, Tokyo, Hamburg and Denmark. The Indian diaspora across the world is paying homage to the Pahalgam terror attack victims. So, across the world, of course, remembrance services, protests, candlelight marches being held to pay tribute to the victims of the Pahalgam terror attack and to convey backing of India. Aditya Vadhavan is joining us for more on this story. Aditya, a global outpouring of support for India and also tributes for the victims of Pahalgam.
Well, absolutely, Uday. Globally, the Indian community is coming together, to call out the sinister Pakistani actions, and these protests by the Indian community across the world, be it Frankfurt, Melbourne, Chicago, Britain, all the places. All Indians are coming together and calling out the bluff on the sinister Pakistani establishment, be it ISI, the Pakistani government. The entire Pakistan is being exposed on a global stage, at this juncture. Even the biggest country on the globe, the United States of America, President Trump has said that, there is a full support to India. And recently, what we saw, the tweet of the Tulsi Gabbard, who happens to be the director of US National Intelligence, has said that all the perpetrators of this cowardly Pahalgam terror attack should be tracked and hunted down and killed, who have committed this heinous crime of killing Indian tourists in Pahalgam. At this juncture, Pakistan will soon be isolated at the global forum. Yes, Uday.
Sumit Peer, political commentator, is joining us for more on this story. Sumit, clearly we are seeing global protests being held, a global outpouring of sentiment against Pakistan, and also tributes for the victims of Pahalgam, support for India coming in.
Uday, it is a moment which the world has to realize, because this was India's 7th October 2023, because the pattern was exactly the same. But we were lucky they could not kill as many people what they did in Israel, because possibly the situations did not allow them that. If situations would have allowed them that, they would have done that. The world is realizing what kind of a disaster it was and what kind of a heinous crime it was, how people were identified on the basis of their religion and shot in point blank range. It is a thing for which the world has to get outraged, has to condemn, because it is something which is beyond imagination. It is inhuman. It was not a pure act of terror. It was a pure act of religious-based terror, wherein the people of a particular religion, that is Hindus, were only targeted and eliminated. So, there was a very clear this Hamas footprint kind of a situation here. And this terror is beyond our comprehension. The way the people were murdered in broad daylight and it was done. The world has to get together, because if you don't get together, these terrorists and perpetrators of terror only get emboldened. Today it has happened in this country, Uday, and if drastic steps are not taken, they are not brought to the book, what gives us a guarantee that they might not repeat it in any other country? Because it's not impossible to do it in any other country. So the world has to get together and don't think it's an India problem. Because when Hamas happened, when 7th October happened, the entire world got together and said, no, it's a problem of the humanity, because these barbarians is something which only animals can do. And exactly what happened in Kashmir can be only done by inhuman savages, those filthy animals who did it, and that nefarious country, that कहते हैं ना वो हिंदी में धरती पे बोझ, Pakistan, who has a state policy of terror and funding all these jihadis and Islamic terror. Today, the GHQ Rawalpindi is the epicenter of international jihad and Islamic terror, and Pakistani army is the biggest terror organization headed by this Mullah Munir, there's not a lot of difference between Nasrallah, Munir, and Ismail Hania, they're all same. I mean, how do you differentiate between them today? They all exactly carry out the same activities. So world is supporting India because they understand the quantum of the disease. This is a disease. They understand the quantum of the disease. They understand the heinous crime, and they understand how much dangerous Pakistan can be.
Yes.
And Uday, let me tell you, sir, there was a terror attack in Ukraine. It was done by one Tazagay, right?
Yes. Sumit, can you hear me? Okay, I think we've lost Sumit's connection there. All right. Meanwhile, my colleague has filed a ground report on the aftermath of the Pahalgam attack. Let's quickly play that out.